Hi, I'm Michael Parks with Agency Arms here at Manzano Munitions, talking about NOC 2.0, specifically the Cali NOC for California. One thing that's a really cool thing to do is, this is harkening back to NOC 1.0, our original NOC that came out 10 years ago. And that was done on a Timberwolf frame by Lone Wolf. And we did them all as 19s, but obviously things have changed where people are really looking for that 45 type grip. So you're getting a full-size grip. And then with the comp on the weapon, you're getting a 17 overall length. So it's a perfect fit to go into every 17 holster. And one of the key features is our patented comp system for this. So our NOC comp has no tools, no set screws, no thread locker, no shims, nothing like that. The actual timing device is the sight tracker itself. The disassembly method is super easy, but we can't show that on YouTube. But you just pop off the top end, and once you remove your recoil system, the barrel comes forward enough to where you can just remove it easily for cleaning purposes and all that kind of good stuff. You're not stuck with it, stuck in the slide. Other features are AOS. So now you have our optic system to go to any optic. It's future-proof, as we call it. So you just swap out the plate. You can have your iron to the rear of your optic, to the front of your optic, and pretty much every footprint on the market. There's only a couple optics that are proprietary that just don't work with this system. Then you have our fitted trigger system, our agency Gen 4.5 style mag release, which leans forward at the front. So it gives you a much easier purchase without being oversized for accidental activation and dropping your magazines. Also, our accelerator cuts can go deeper on the Lone Wolf frame than the regular Glock because they have more material here for us to be able to do that. So we do an angle and a flat to give shooters of all different size hands as much purchase onto it as possible. The other thing that's kind of cool is the Lone Wolf is a little different. So they have their own proprietary magwell. It has a good generous funnel, but it is proprietary to this one. So if you see that hole in the back, that is a cross pin that holds the two-piece magwell together. And because we're in California, we do have 10-round mags with faux, plus 5 extensions. So this is still a 10-round mag, so it's California compliant and legal, and absolutely fits perfectly. One thing that we do with our base pads is we use this big lip. So if you're doing any kind of one-handed training or malfunction drills or whatever, like double feeds, you want to strip it and rip it, this gives you the ability to do so one-handed, or if you're doing a double feed malfunction and just want to rip, you have a good purchase to be able to do so. These are offered in 3 different colors. So this is our TIN color. Then we have our rose gold, which is kind of becoming the favorite. The guys are digging the rose gold a lot. And of course we have ninja'd out black on black. So we use an uncaptured guide rod system. This is not your timing method. It is the sight tracker, but to be able to disassemble this, make sure you grab it because it is uncaptured. Easy to replace your springs though. We use ISMI 15-pound recoil systems in these. If you want to go lighter, you can. 15 we found is this most reliable with most ammunition sources. We do have a bushing in here. So that is your reducing ring to allow the Gen 3 style guide rod to be centered in the Gen 4 style recoil system hole, if you will, in the bottom of the dust, basically the dust cover. The reason we did this is the Lone Wolf frame has a larger opening. So to make sure that's nice and clean and matches up well, we went to a Gen 4 style slide dust cover. But again, all the stuff inside the gun is OEM Glock. The only part that is Gen 4, other than this one portion of the slide, is your actual ejector housing is Gen 4, but everything else is Gen 3. Now, for California purposes, it is absolutely legal for you to have your threaded system in here because it does not protrude any threads forward of the slide. That's kind of key. Per the California codes, if you have threading that is exposed enough to allow a suppressor to be attached, that's where you run into issues. So we've just removed the threads on the outer portion so you cannot have a suppressor or any other attachments affixed to it. Talking sights for a moment, the NOC utilizes our suppressor height Glock sights. There's nothing different about the sights that we put on these guns and our other guns. It takes a traditional Glock rear dovetail. We do, side note, do not recommend using a sight pusher. We recommend using a hammer and like Delrin punch or some kind of polymer punch, because the sight pusher tools put too much strain on these keyways, and the material that in that keyway, that area gets real thin, and you can have breakages even on an OEM slide. So we do not recommend sight pushers at all. We definitely recommend a hammer and punch. On the front, it is just our standard front Glock sight. Your tool goes in through the bottom, just like the hole that's on the bottom of a dust cover of a 34 or a 47. And we do recommend using blue Loctite on your front sight. Red Loctite is just a little bit too much. You have to use a lot of heat to break the red Loctite. Even with the compensator being attached to this thing, blue Loctite is just fine. Make sure that you properly clean your threads if you're going to replace your front sight before applying your Loctite, and then give it a good 24 hours to cure. And then talking about the Lone Wolf frame a little bit and its differences from the Glock doesn't have a great beaver tail on it like the Gen 6 now has. So one thing that is really great here is you have a really pronounced beaver tail. It's not oversized, it's not too much, but it's enough to, even with large hands, prohibit you from getting slide bite. So it's one of the major features that really drew us to using these frames. So Manzano Munitions actually is getting the largest portion of the order. So they're going to have 50 of all colors. And they'll be shipping here next week. So we're really excited to get them out to you guys.